A lot was said during the hours-long public impeachment hearing today. NBC's Jane Timm with me now to help us separate the fact from the fiction. And Jane, if you had to flag one thing for being either misleading or missing context from today's hearing, what would it be?
The big one for me is the idea that there were no first-hand witnesses today. That was sort of the big GOP talking point of, nothing's first-hand, you guys don't know anything, why are we here, this is a big hoax. That's sort of the big hope. But this is the ambassador to Ukraine, Trump's chosen ambassador to Ukraine. He's still currently the ambassador to Ukraine, who is here in his official capacity. If there's something going on with Ukraine and the U.S. diplomatic efforts, it's literally his job to know what's going on. And of course, I don't think any impeachment or trial or anything goes through with just one witness, but this is a beginning witness. This is someone who is establishing the set of the facts. And I think that they were both very incredibly credible witnesses. There was no indication that they were like, well, I sort of heard this, but then I heard that. We see a series of witnesses in closed-door testimony and now in the public eye saying almost all the same things. Sometimes there's a little bit of, I wasn't sure about that, but you're talking about documents, call readouts, wires that were sent to the Secretary of State in George Kent's case. This is primary sources. As a fact checker, that's what we look for. We look for, I was in this meeting and here's what I heard, or this is what I said when I asked my superiors about this. These are first-hand sources. They don't know everything, and I don't think anyone's saying they know everything because we have a whole lot more testimony to go.
But from a fact-checker's perspective, they were solid sources.
Primary sources. I don't think they have any information on who directed these things. That was all second-hand information, and I think that's super credible for Republicans to say, you don't know the president did this. Maybe it's Rudy Giuliani who did this, or somebody else. They can say, you don't know the whole story. But those witnesses were saying themselves, I don't know the whole story. You heard at one point Jim Jordan goes after Bill Taylor, this guy who's been serving the U.S. for 50 years, and he says, I'm speaking to my understanding. I'm not anyone's star witness. I'm under subpoena. I'm here because I have to be.
That was a big moment we all sort of took away from there. At one point, Jane, the Republican counsel questioned Kent and Taylor about Joe Biden in Ukraine. Trump and his allies have said they believe that Biden got a prosecutor fired who was investigating his son Hunter's company. Is that accurate? Can you kind of break down Joe Biden's role in Ukraine versus President Trump?
Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot. Joe Biden was leading the diplomatic efforts for the U.S. and with other countries in concert with them. The Western world wanted Ukraine to not become part of the Russian Empire again. And he went to Ukraine and said, look, this prosecutor is corrupt. If you want our help, if you want our money, you want our loan guarantees, you got to get rid of him because by all accounts he was a corrupt guy. So this is what the International Monetary Fund was saying. The EU was saying everyone wanted this prosecutor corrupt. There's no evidence that he was doing that because he secretly wanted to save his son out of something. There's just it doesn't back up.
Two major points that the Republicans made today. The aid got there, and there was no investigation into Joe Biden. Do those arguments hold up? Are there holes in that defense? She's pulling out the notebook.
I have the receipts. So I looked into this. Okay. The aid was released. Ukraine did get this aid. Here's what happened before Ukraine got this aid, the Trump that released this aid. The whistleblower complaint was filed. The Intel Community Inspector General got the complaint. Director of National Intelligence got the complaint. Department of Justice got the complaint. The White House lawyers got the complaint. Members of Congress start asking questions. Members of Congress are notified that there's a whistleblower complaint. And Congress had to actually act again to make sure they could get all this aid. Just because it didn't go all the way through doesn't mean it's not an issue. It's not a problem. We're talking about impeachable offenses. This isn't some sort of technical legal statute. This is what's impeachable and what's not.
Same goes for there was no investigation into Joe Biden.
By all accounts, the Ukrainians were ready to launch an investigation to get there, to get the aid that they needed. This is aid that Ukraine really, really needed to keep people alive. I think they were weighing those consequences. By all accounts, by the reporting that we see out there in the news, they were ready to go there. They just didn't get there in time.
Jane Timm, fact checker, thank you for running us through we just heard so much today, so thank you for pointing out some of the facts and not so facts today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Allison.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.